A now former member of the Morrisville Police Department is accused of misusing the flock camera system. The chief says Elizabeth Snowman accessed the flock cameras 31 times in order to track her boyfriend's ex-wife. He says she did it both on and off duty. The chief also says there are other officers in the department currently being investigated for misuse of the cameras. He says another arrest could be announced in the coming days. Still, the chief says that the positives of the cameras in assisting in police work outweigh the negatives.
People don't have an expectation of privacy in plates that really aren't owned by them or owned by the state anyway. But the question becomes what's being done with that data. So that's the rub here, right? It's not so much, they talk about the privacy issue, but listen, there's cameras everywhere. You drive by Ring doorbell cameras every day of your life, right? They're picking up those images. The problem becomes what do you do with what happens with the data that's collected? Or in this case, what are cops doing that shouldn't be cops in the first place doing with this stuff?
Now, courts have not found license plate readers to be unconstitutional, but there are legal cases pending.
But we don't want to wait for pending, Andy.
No.
We want to talk about right now, and that's why we have our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, joining us to give us the answer on it. Khalif, one of the things that the chief said, which I like, I want to start there. What's your expectation of privacy when you're out in public in terms of these readers?
Zero.
Easy answer. I agree with the chief that your expectation of privacy on public roads are limited. Now, I disagree with his connection in relationship to flock cameras and Ring cameras, because I think the custodial holder of those records are different. If you drive past a Ring camera that's down the street past Annie's house, guess what? She owns that. She can control that. She can monitor and make sure who gets in and out of that. Those flock cameras, they, as in law enforcement, are holding that, and that's why we're seeing these incidents where officers are accessing it to do a number of things that they shouldn't be doing, utilizing it for non-investigative purposes. But I would agree that your expectation of the privacy, while organizations like the ACLU have attempted to try to file claims against institutions for using these, I think those arguments are going to fall flat on their face, that the court would say and have said repeatedly that if you believe you have an expectation to privacy on public property, you don't. And then they're saying they're categorizing this as warrantless searches, right, or warrantless monitoring and tracking. If an officer decides to follow you or track you, they're not going and seeking a warrant to do that. You're seeking a warrant to invade, I should say, to infringe on someone's constitutional rights to being searched or seized. Typically, that's their Fourth Amendment violations, but not to be watched. And if they were watching you in your home, maybe a little bit different. If they were trying to put some tracking device inside your house, even, entirely different. Courts have supported, in case law would to say they cannot do that. But to say that you can't, track the whereabouts, the digital footprint of a person that's on public streets, I just disagree with that argument. I would wholeheartedly agree with what the chief is saying.
Well, some people just don't like them in general, right? But the real issue here isn't that the cameras exist and that they collect your information. It's the information being accessed on the back half of that, right? So do we need to have stiffer penalties for officers who access that when they're not supposed to, even though there are ones that exist?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think there are people that wholeheartedly disagree with the use of them, period, right? And then there are folks that are misusing them. And so to the folks that disagree with the use, I'd go with the original argument that the courts have supported the use of these types of things and upheld that you have limited to zero expectation of privacy on public roadways. In terms of the stiffer penalties, I think the process that we have in place is accurate, that if you are misusing government computers, and that's what this charge would be, it's a misdemeanor charge, and multiple times, and the type of opportunities that you do can elevate this to some type of felony charge. I don't think you want to have it stiffer than what they are now, because these are one-off type of scenarios. While there are cases that are happening in multiple jurisdictions across the country, what I can say is the overwhelming benefit of these type of programs outweigh the negative use. I've had multiple cases when I get my discovery that are connected to showing and listening to the how they get to the end result of a detective's investigation. Well, we followed them through flock cam. We were able to show that it went from one street to the next street to the next street. I mean, while I can tear apart their case on other ends, to be able to pinpoint and track where a person is and their location is extremely helpful. In missing persons cases, extremely helpful. So the benefits that these programs and systems like this bring to a law enforcement process are extremely helpful.
Do you think that these departments, and it's also going to be accessed by private homeowners associations, do you think they'll be able to shield themselves by saying it was the individual who accessed it improperly, or do they open themselves up to the potential of litigation because, hey, they were using it as an employee of your department?
Yeah, I mean, definitely litigation, it would be there, but it's also, when I talk about this a number of times, when you try to bring some type of claim against a municipality, they're going to have some type of implied immunity, right? That's the first step. Then the other portion is you're looking for a respondeat superior. Can you hold the employer liable for the actions of their employee? Well, if that person is acting outside of the scope of their employment, no law enforcement agency wants you searching for the ex of your spouse.
Sure.
That has no connection to an investigation. So they'd be able to distance themselves and shield themselves for that if they were using it off duty. Now, while using it on duty, that's a little bit trickier and murkier. But so the potential for lawsuits and risk is there, but again, I think it's outweighed by the overwhelming benefit that this program brings. The other portion I'd add is that this is not a public-owned program as well. This is private company, and so you have the misuse of it internally, but you also could have misuse of it by the companies that actually own the program.
Yeah. A lot of layers there, Khalif. Thank you.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.